hang on a second. So just so people know about this, so InfoStack is like a daily deal site, but for information, for info, courses, books, stuff like that.
Yep.
They're very similar to like how AppSumo is for like softwares. So I love the concept. I just real quick, I'm just curious because I just pulled up the site here so people can see it. How did you come to the decision on the .io over the .com? And like I see the .com.
And no dash. Where's the dash?
Yeah. Where's the dash?
I don't take great pride in my URL picking ability, but I also don't believe that the URL matters that much. Like, case in point, we have Yaro in front of us right now, right? Yeah. So actually, the way it came about was I was coaching at the time. That's why I'm always curious about these transition stories. Like, in a way, I feel like I've kind of transitioned as well over the last few years. But I was coaching, and somebody that I was coaching was doing this for the first time, so he had already bought the domain. So we just went with that. I think he had gotten the domain. Yeah. So it was just like, just random as far as, again, that versus the .com, I think the .com was taken. So there's, I guess the only maybe, I don't think there's any benefit to the domain. But also because here's the thing too, I knew that like the way I was going to grow this thing was going to be through email. And so I was like, the URL is less important in email when it comes to email. I know that was kind of how my mind was thinking. Because I'm like, I'm going to get in people's inboxes, they're going to read a story, and then they're going to click to go buy the deal. I'm not too concerned with SEO. I'm not concerned with all these other things that maybe I should have been. But like it's one of those things that I was like, better to just get it launched, go rock and roll with it, than worry too much about the .com. But again, I'm not in that blogging expert headspace of like domains and stuff.
I think about the brand. Like, if you had, let's just say you blow up, right? People find out you're doing, $50, $100 million a year. Someone goes and buys infostack.com, right? People hear brand name InfoStack. They Google it. They see the .com. They see the .io. They're going to think the .com is the real one, right? It's like, that's where I get concerned with building, unless it's already taken and you could see that someone's already doing a business that's totally not your business or
right
something,
now, Infostack.com is a blank WordPress blog. I think, Tom, you should jump on this. It's a WordPress template by the looks of things.
Well, let me reach out, and then maybe we'll have a thing to discuss next time going through that process. I agree with you. Like my preference would be .com, but I'm also kind of like we just recently launched a WordPress hosting company, me and another partner. And again, it came down to the domain. I'm not going to share it just yet because it's not. We're kind of in the alpha stages right now with it. We're just onboarding a few clients right now. But like we went with an IO where I'm just like, I was actually hoping to get a .com, like do a whole brand kind of thing. But I'm like, you know what? It's fine. I'm going to use email marketing to grow this again. I'm not too tied to the name. My partner really liked it. I think it's fine. It does the job. It needs to in many ways. But yeah, once again, I'm missing the .com on another brand.
I honestly don't think it matters. As an angel investor, I see all these companies get pitched through some syndicates I'm in, and they are .xyz, .io, .co, everything you think of, even like .agency, .media, something, whatever they're doing. So, and in fact, I think the second most successful so far of like the 5-6 years I've been doing is a company called NutriSense, and I'm pretty sure their domain is a .io. I just double checked that. At least it used to be. They might have got the .com. I think
sometimes when you have these kind of oddball domain extensions, even when it comes to emails and email deliverability and so on, I think it affects it. I think if you have like .gg or .blue, like some weird, you know what I mean? Like I think that they don't work. I really like these kind of domain extensions that have like a word because you could use them for your own short URLs. Like I own webfriend.ly, so every time we have our own URL shortener that we use, so it's good for branding, Like if everyone's familiar, like Facebook has fb.me or like Twitter's tw.co or something, something like this, right? So for those, but yeah, I think for the most part, you build a business around the domain. I just get concerned of like if you do go big, that someone can mess with your brand, basically, right? And even if you get a trademark, which I don't mind talking about trademarks, but if you get a trademark, you still have to enforce it, right? So.
Yeah, part of me is like naively optimistic about the future, and that I'm just going to keep crushing and doing my thing, and everybody else hopefully will do their thing, and it'll just grow without having to go through any of those issues.
I guess I'm being negative.
Think about the the creator space now, like I don't know domain names for any of these people. It's just their names, you know. It's like
right, super interesting.
It's Logan Paul and Impulsive, you know. It's Colin and Samir's YouTube or podcast or whatever. So
those are real names though. There's also a lot of brands out there that like aren't even names. They're just like, I don't know. They're just like mashed together words and numbers even, and they have huge amounts of followers.
Yeah. I'm on Tom's opinion here. It's, you know, business model first. If it's your email database and that's what matters, you're going after that. And then the domain name doesn't have to be great. I mean, sure, perfect world, you got your .com, you got your trademark, and away you go. But it's the .coms are gone. I mean, I want to ask you guys. If I have one regret about my early years on the internet, especially like because I was there in the late '90s, was just not buying every single .com phrase I could get in domain names, because I certainly could have, and I was young, I was 18, 19, but I knew what the internet was becoming, and I could. It was $150. I remember there was one domain registrar back then. It was the only one, Network Solutions, I think it was, and you just go there, buy domains. I could have bought any .com pretty much, except for the obvious ones like sex.com and business.com. They were all taken, but there's a lot of stuff you could have grabbed back then, and that would have been it. You would have been a multimillionaire just from owning those domain names.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've just went through the whole process of trying to find a domain name for my girlfriend's business. It took us like a month just going through different names and figuring out, you know, price points. And I found, like, as I dug into it and I really tried to figure out different names, I found some pretty good deals. I found, like, we ended up getting a name. I don't know whether or not I should say it right now, but, you know, we ended up paying like $700 for it, which is, I think was like, out of all the names that we thought of, it was our number one choice, you know, regardless of the price. It was the best name. But it took a long time of kind of research and kind of figuring out, okay, how does this name work and that name work? Who's the competitors out there, you know? So I think there are deals out there, that's for sure.
What about your son, Matt? What your son's got a thriving YouTube channel. How are you branding him? Or how is he branding himself?
His name is Super Epic Mr. Morkes. I haven't put up his website or anything yet. I own Astifan.com. So I can make any family member a subdomain for any time, right? So if he ever wants to be Marcus.Astifan, you know, it's boom, right?
He probably wants his domain name for that YouTube channel, right?